Okay, good evening. Today is Thursday, June 6th, and we are at the Battery Park City Committee of the Community Board One in Manhattan. My name is Justine Cuccia. Jeff Galloway, my co-chair, is here, and we have our lovely district manager with us as well as the committee. Welcome. We have a short agenda, but we've got a lot to talk about. So with that said, I think we can jump right in. Just so that you know, for the people that are in the room and the people that are online who are attendees, everyone, as far as I'm concerned, everyone will have a chance to speak and ask questions. But we're going to follow Robert's rules, and I have to give the people who are the board members the right to speak first, and then I'll branch out, and I'll try to bounce between in the room, online, in the room, online. Okay, so with that said, I don't know that we need Nick to introduce you guys. We're having our first presenter is from Brookfield Place about the summer programming. They're talking about Portside at Brookfield Properties as well as other things. And we have Peyton Elder and Courtney Whitelock.
Yeah. Thanks, Justine. We're really excited to be here tonight just to kind of give you guys an overview of all of the exciting summer activities that we have planned down here that are open to the community. So I will turn it over to Courtney to share her screen and kind of walk through a couple of the things that we have planned. And please feel free to stop us and ask any questions.
Hi, my name's Courtney Whitelock. I'm the VP of Arts and Events here. I've come to the community board a bunch over the years, so it's nice to see you all online again. I'm just going to share my screen here to bring up some fun photos of our programming. Can everybody see this?
Yes.
Yes.
Great. So we're looking forward to another fun summer of robust programming that is free and open to the public, so we're very excited to do that. The first thing to call out is Portside, which I'm sure some of you guys have seen. It's been out since the beginning of May. We're very excited to have it out there, and again, completely free and open to the public for people to enjoy if they want to sit out and enjoy a beverage, or if they just want to sit and enjoy the space for fun. Happy to have everybody come and join us there. And then we also are celebrating Pride. We always celebrate Pride in a big way at Brookfield Place. So we have a fun installation in the corner of the plaza there for people to take images with. It's really great and fun. We've gotten lots of really wonderful feedback about it already. So we're excited to have this out just for the month of June to celebrate Pride. And then I'm sure some of you have also seen that we've had pickleball out on the lower plaza here. We have open court play for people to come and enjoy. Again, completely free and open to the public. You can register online on our website. The hours are 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. From June 4th to the 23rd. And then last night, we hosted a really fun wine tasting event with San Ambrose, who's one of our tenants here at Brookfield Place. It went really well. We had 200 guests who came and enjoyed a free wine tasting. So it went really well. And we're hoping to bring it back next year as well. And then coming up, we have our DJ series. We're working with local DJs to present a fun, vibrant, eclectic mix of music. On Wednesdays, every other Wednesday in June, July, and August. The music will be played between 12 and 1 and 5:30 and 8:30. It's more of a fun, eclectic mix of music. It's not just, top of the pops. So we're excited to present different types of music for the community to enjoy. And then we're working with the local organization called Answer the Call. They will be presenting their fundraiser for their families and for members of the public on June 27th from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. The event is free, completely open to the public. They're excited to get to know the Battery Park City community more. And they will have fun children's rides, music, giveaways, and just lots more educating people about the wonderful work that they do throughout New York City. And then, as we always do, at the end of August, we'll have the Brookfield Place open from August 20th to the 29th. The hours are 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. and it's open court play for people to come and enjoy tennis on the lower plaza. Registration will open at the beginning of August, and it will be on our website for all to participate and register to play. And that's it for our summer programming. Does anybody have any questions that they'd like to ask us?
Courtney, yes, I do too, and I see Jill does. So question one is if we can go to the picture with, Woodside.
Oop.
One big, even. So that might be from last year because
It
this
is.
year,
Yep.
the courtside entrance, flip it, right? So it basically takes up the whole space on the upper level. And you've got a security guard there, which is your right, but, and no one stops you from going through, but it's a visual barrier to walking through. So I know I had asked Nick to ask you guys if you consider putting the entrance just back a little bit. I have no problem with the tables being on, the Winter Garden wall, no problem with your ropes, no problem with any of that. And if that's all fine and dandy, but it just looks so, private, yeah, private. And it's not, it's public space, and I know it is, because you can come there, you can buy something or not. You can bring your own food, you can bring your own, drinking materials, whatever you wanna drink, beverages. But I just wonder, now, I've complained. I don't know how many other people have complained about it, but I was like, huh, weird.
Yeah,
So, question one,
yeah, Justine, I think we really tried because we've heard that feedback in the past, and I thought that we tried to accomplish that this year where we made it look a little less private. So I totally hear you and understand where you're coming from. So let us take that back and see if there's any way that we can make any revisions to make it feel a little less enclosed.
I mean, again, having it enclosed so that once you enter, being private, that's fine.
Yeah,
I mean, that is that is what you're looking for, that's what you're offering, that's space, and you want people to be part of it, but there should definitely be a thoroughfare. Number one, and then number two, I will pass it on to other folks in the room.
Yeah.
I have other questions, but that was port side, so let's talk about port side.
Okay, talking about port side, I disagree because, those ropes, you can't find the entrance. And I take my dog for a walk, whatever, 10 o'clock at night. And it looks like the whole thing's closed.
It does.
It's dark. We have to climb over ropes. And I'm 66, I don't want to climb over ropes anymore. So, it is more than off-putting, it's actually dangerous. And it's also then you don't get people walking through. So it's much more desolate at night there. It feels like it's closed off and at 9 or 10 o'clock at night, you can't walk through.
So they put ropes up where it says welcome.
The rope, you can't find the
You
entrance at
can't-
night.
You have to
telling
get
you.
close to see
Where
where
it is.
where to go.
Yeah, and I think it changes later, I'm not sure, but I know I can't find the entrance.
Is this still the ice cream bowl?
Well,
Yeah, yeah.
I don't understand why there needs to be, why
Anything
it should be
closed.
closed off, but this is your call. However, there's only one entrance and one exit.
yes.
Otherwise, there's ropes, they're hard to find, and it's dangerous. And it actually makes it very empty and dark and at night.
Just to clarify, I usually go through walking on the south to north. Is there an opening on the right to go into the building?
There is.
yes, there's
Yes.
two openings.
One on
I mean,
each side, but
To
you
go,
can't
no,
find
go into the building on the right, not just straight ahead.
Yeah. there's two.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the entrance is before the.
There's entrance,
I'm
yeah.
going from south to
For
north.
up to north, there's an
If
entrance.
I want to go to the
before
building
you
on the
hit
east,
district, before you hit the district and you hit, the restaurant,
Okay.
whatever it's called.
It's very off-putting.
so in other words, once I'm in there, I can't make a right turn
No,
and go in the
you can
building.
press
I have to go all the way through. That's not great either, I think.
I mean, there should be a way, and there is a way, if you walk through the entrance gate to enter by the Winter Garden sides, because those are entrances. But you have to walk through the entrance gate now, whereas what I'm saying is if you flipped it like this picture, you have your entrance, you have your, I'm trying to make it, I hear what Jill is saying, I hear what Marianne is saying. I'm trying to balance it, and make it, give a little and take a little. So that's where I'm coming from.
Why does it have to be enclosed at all?
Yeah,
Is
Well,
that
I don't
some-
know.
There's a restaurant over there or a food
Tartine.
service.
Yeah.
Do they want some sort of enclosure?
I can jump in on
somebody-
that. It's an SLA requirement. So for the liquor authority, we have to have it enclosed because Tartanerie serves alcohol.
Interest, okay, so that makes sense, and that is, it is a contained area to say, this is where you're drinking your alcohol outside.
Yep. Yep.
It is-
I think, yeah, what I'm hearing is, it sounds like especially this roped stanchions at night, it's quite dark and can pose a danger. So again, let us take that feedback back to the team, see if we can maybe put some additional lights or see if there's a way around the rope stanchions at night, since Tartary is closed down, and maybe we can move those away after hours.
Thank you,
Thank you.
yeah, appreciate it.
Yep.
Just make it a little bit more open, that's all what I want.
Yep.
That'd be my feedback, and again, I cannot tell you that I've heard a huge outcry, I don't see anybody in the attendee section raising their hand, is there anybody else in the room who wants, about Portside? Oh. No, I see nobody say anything, so, okay, so, the next one, the other thing I wanted to talk about was, oh, go ahead, Jill, because I have to remember what it
Oh,
was.
so you guys have wonderful activities and I love everything you do. I love hanging out there. I love bringing my sandwich. It's beautiful. The activities fill up in 3 seconds and
Thank you, that's what I
Okay.
was gonna talk about.
do you want to pick up?
No,
on that?
no, please.
So the community, does not really get, honestly, the opportunity to participate at all in these activities. And, you
I can say this,
can,
in years past, so you guys know, the community was given, the Battery Park City, we asked for Community Board One, as I know we're the Battery Park City Committee, but we can ask it for all of Community Board One, to be given, an hour or two a day, and just slot it for us, because, and people tend to do it, and they, your vendors tend to slot us for, 12 and 1 o'clock or something, or 1 and 2 o'clock, because it's the hottest part of the day, but that's okay. That's okay, whatever, it makes sense, because that's also lunchtime, which would be a time that the workers would want to come in. But, that would be our suggestion, because if you put us in with put everybody in with the general group, they're as Jill said.
Yeah.
The minute it comes out,
Yeah.
it's gone.
yeah,
You can't sign up for tennis, you can't sign up for the drink,
drinking,
they,
what a
wine tasting,
Yeah. nothing. It's gone like that. And by the time we find out about it, and I don't think it's I'm sure you want
It's
to
all
mix
corporate.
people from all over because you want people to shop and
Yeah,
spend money in Brookfield. I understand the motivation behind that, but the people who live on top of this would
like to
also,
go.
yeah.
So I
and we
would,
do spend a lot of money and shop and.
so I guess that would be a request. Would that be something that you all would be able to think about and be open to giving us
Or,
a
or an
specific
advance
slot?
so that we know when it's going to.
Yeah.
come.
Yes,
Honest-
definitely. I think what we can do a better job of is when we are, as a starting point, when we have these events, Justine, we can reach out to you or Zach and give you guys a heads up. And then secondarily, let us take back and see if there are reserved hours that we can set aside, or a certain amount of tickets for things that we can set aside for you guys.
I mean, not, you don't even have to, if no one signs up, I don't want you to have empty courts, but, give us a chance to sign up.
Yeah.
Us giving residents.
Residents, CB1 residents.
Yep.
Would be a nice, yeah, and CB1, I mean, I prefer it just to be Battery Park City, but I think that's not fair. We are Community Board Ones, so open it wider, and, just give us an early chance to sign up, and then the general public, so shame on us if we don't do it quickly, but a lot of people
Have the
do.
opportunity.
At least you have the opportunity, and again, I'm not looking to monopolize or say you have to give it to us, no, you don't. But it would be nice to have the opportunity to sign up versus being squeezed out before we even
Feel
start.
sad when we walk by. and-
Yes, what is the normal way to sign up, that we could communicate that to people?
Eventbrite.
Online, they send out,
It's
What?
Eventbrite, I think.
yeah,
And that's impossible to
Okay,
find
hold
out
on.
and get through to and sign.
Can I go to the Brookfield
It's
website?
an event, right? That-
Yep.
I know that,
a link to Eventbrite on the website. The
okay,
Battery Park City Authority
I'm
will
thinking of the-
advertise it, Community Board One will advertise it, but by the time it comes into your inbox as an email, you're done.
It's
But
tough,
the-
we can never get it.
why? I
It's-
mean, is it not going to everybody the same way?
Going into the entire world.
And so what?
So there are people who are faster than us.
Yeah.
We're all getting the same chance.
Allegedly, I don't know, the answer to
Well,
your
that's
question.
what I'm
Yeah,
asking.
I don't know. Do you guys have an answer? Is it open?
It-
for-
it-
for-
Just to confirm, it is a question, it all goes out to the public at the same time.
So I get an email periodically from Brookfield about what's happening.
Yeah.
And that's a good source of information.
But it's not timeless.
I guess I haven't.
Well, I have.
Yeah, I have, and I've.
And I have
I'm
never,
not playing
ever
tennis.
gotten in.
Yeah.
I
No,
can
the
find
only time
Brooks,
I've gotten
but I'm
is
not playing
in the
tennis.
years when, Brookfield has set aside some time slots to sign up. And you do it quick, when it opens up, you gotta do it quickly, but if you take 2 hours, even that'll get filled up.
Yeah.
So if you don't,
But
if you're
there was
not
no-
fast enough,
the
get.
second I get it, I log in, and it's
Exactly.
gone.
Okay.
So
I
that should
understand.
be the complaint, so just giving us a fair shake or a fairer shake, early advance notice, something, an unfair shake, I'll take that.
So I think the
But,
next time this will come up is for the Brookfield Place Open, so we'll be sure to set aside slots for you guys, which I know Justine, you mentioned. We did that last year, so we're happy to do that again this year.
That would be wonderful.
And then on a
Thank you so
go-forward
much.
basis, we can implement the same rules for you guys.
That would be wonderful. And again, if there's things that are not open to everybody, of course, that's fine. But if it's open to everybody, please, that would be wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you. It's so- so
Yeah, of course.
so wonderful to see you.
And if anyone here has any trouble getting on pickleball courts or tennis courts, you have Courtney and my email, and you can always reach out and we can try and figure out if there are some time slots we can slot you in.
Yeah, right, exactly. You're so funny, because it's like, yes, but. But it's busy, but the pool courts are full. And I've been walking past there, they're full pretty much every day, so. Every time I've gone by, they're full.
Very popular.
Oh, it's within Portside, that Pride statue, correct? I think that's all.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Climb on it, it's,
Yeah, yeah.
it's like rock.
Oh,
No. So Portside is on the upper level, like with
Upper level.
exactly where the ice skating rink
Oh,
was.
okay.
There it is.
Yeah, I see
Yeah.
that.
Oh,
Oh,
But yeah, that's inside Portside.
I run there every night.
And you haven't
You
seen
never
it.
get in there.
Higher level.
I love it. I think it looks great.
Yeah, it's lovely. Colors. Anybody else have questions? No.
I have one last question. You guys aren't responsible for putting up the Pride lights along the path, right?
I think that's the BPC.
Okay. Then no, I don't.
Where are they?
Do you, right? You guys don't put the pride, the different colored lights up, that's the
Rainbow
BPCA.
lights.
And it's like,
I don't think that's us, Courtney.
No, I don't think the lights that you're referencing are us.
The lights, I don't.
It took a while to put up the north lights. It was, it was hard.
so they were changing them up, okay. That's interesting. Anybody online, you see any hands raised?
But the north, they didn't put them up till like 2 days ago.
And they didn't have.
If you want to raise your hand,
Running out there, it's just
okay.
ran into a cloud.
I'll go on there, something.
Right,
Because, I mean, it's not.
it's also closed in the morning hours. I don't know what that means, but if Colleen wants to raise your hand and explain that, I guess they open up at a certain time.
Sorry, was your
And-
question if Portside opens up at a certain time?
At 10, is that correct?
So
Mhm.
Tartinery opens at 10, but we power wash in the morning and we obviously don't want to power wash anybody away. So we power wash around like 7:30, 8:30. So it's closed while we're power washing again, so nobody gets wet, and then the space is open.
Excellent, okay. Excellent, that does make sense, and what people cleaning, and yes, if you raise your hand and say something, we would love to hear it in the chat. It's clicking the hand raise button in reactions with the smiley, next to the smiley face if you're online. And if you're on your phone, it's *6, I believe, *6 raises your hand. All right, well, I think we are done. Thank you, Courtney. Thank you, Pete. You guys are amazing.
you.
Really appreciate it. Thank you for listening. I will say the Portside, I have sat in there now a few times. It's lovely. I like it. And thank you.
That's
And I
great to
look forward
hear.
playing
Thank you,
tennis
guys.
Thank you.
In August.
Awesome.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you so much. All right, we're gonna move on to our second item, which is the Northwest Battery Park City Resiliency Project update. And I want to recognize the president of the Battery Park City Authority, Raju Man. Thank you so much for being here and coming in. It's a lovely to have you here, so welcome.
Yeah. Only one good side.
Well, yes, you'll have to be pushed out. And we're looking to see who needs to be, and Claudia, maybe you can unmute yourself and tell us who else in your list needs to be as a new over.
Nick for taking care of the dog parks.
All right.
They're being cleaned towards the.
And I know we weren't planning to start at 6:30, so I'm not sure if Nick is coming over.
They're on space.
They're on the way over here, so we can take a, little bit of a breather break. I'm sorry, we went fast. We went fast.
That's a good thing.
That is a good thing.
Good.
Yeah, would you like to say, introduce yourself and say?
To us, sure, we'll talk to you.
The owls, the folks online,
Here's the owl, that.
that thing, yeah.
Yeah. Hello, Al.
There you go. So that would be lovely.
Hello, everybody. This is a good community for you.
Oh. This is great.
So I think I've met many of you, but for those of you I've met, I'm Roger Mann. I'm the new president and CEO of the Battery Park City Authority. I'm looking forward to coming to this committee many times in the coming months and years. And looking forward to working with you all. I know we've got a bunch of important projects ahead in the next several years, and we're excited about making sure we have an open line of communication. And we work in genuine partnership with you all, because it's, you know, these projects are very close to home, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah. All the folks here on the committee. So I think what we're hoping to do today really is give you an update on kind of our thinking on construction, phasing and strategy. We know this is going to be the start of a long series of conversations. Don't expect to really kind of resolve anything today, but wanted to give you kind of our latest thinking on it and start to get feedback and then talk about how we continue to have a conversation with the course of the next couple of years and beyond. So that's kind of the context. You know, I'm always happy to come by if there's anything else specifically you guys want to talk about, if there's items of interest. And I would love to figure out, you know, areas of focus the next couple of years that collectively we want to work on together. I know there's lots of, you know, discussion, debate around the ground rent, piece of the puzzle, and we're happy to continue to debate and discuss that, but I'd love to also find other, you know, kind of conversations that we can have, so figure out what are your priorities and kind of that overlap with the things that we can actually accomplish in the 30. So, you know, that's a longer conversation to come. We're going to be, I think this year, starting to do an update to our strategic plan, which was about 5 years old now. So we're going to start to think about, okay, what are the new priorities that we need to update? What are things we want to keep carrying forward? So look forward to a conversation with you about that. And yeah, any other things. So, yeah.
Check out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
why not?
okay,
Let's do it.
okay, Jill first, then Mary Ann.
It's really hard
Yeah.
to talk about other priorities when you're a rector at Gateway and there's a sword hanging over your head that you were gonna be out in a couple of years. I'm 66. I'm going to have nowhere to live at 70. You can't move on to these priorities for people living there unless there is some sense of security that we will be able to afford to live in Gateway Plaza. It is the #1 priority.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, I don't mean to gloss over any of that, just to note that we know the ground rent discussions, QRS discussions, the gateway context are hugely important.
But these are the renters, not ground rent.
Yeah, tourist, quasi rent stabilization, that's what you mean.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, no, totally understood. Yeah. So, leaders in the QRS and in Gateway have a special affordability framework, and so we are eager, willing, happy to continue to talk about that, and what that looks like moving on past 2030.
Last time, we waited and waited, and even past the expiration date, it wasn't settled. I think getting on top of it now, it's a hard thing to have this hanging over your head. And there's hundreds and hundreds of us, and we're the affordable bastion of Battery Park City.
Yeah, and again, I'm thrilled to jump right into it with you all when you want to.
So particularly
Yeah.
on Gateway.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think we've chatted before, so I'm happy to chat again at any point. should we, folks,
Well, we're waiting for
Can I
next
ask a question?
one more question, but yeah, we're not, this is not a conversation for the ground rent or that.
No,
Go
no.
ahead.
What, can you tell us about Kathy Poco's latest surprises? Not congestion as much as the new members of the board that we suddenly saw appointed,
yeah, I mean,
that,
I don't have that much, probably more than what you already know, which is that the Senate confirmed 2 additions to the Battery Park City Authority Board.
so it's confirmed.
Yeah, the Senate confirmed that this afternoon, so Angela Pinsky and Clint Plummer were confirmed. And we are sort of waiting on next steps from there, in terms of exactly when they'll start.
One is a resident.
One is a resident, one is a resident of South Battery Park City, and one is on the Upper West Side.
I don't know how long he's lived there, but, I know he's a resident, I think, definitely a resident.
Yeah,
And I'm sure,
2020.
sorry,
Say again?
He bought that apartment in 2020.
there you go.
That's like $4 million.
Do you know, do you know what
Let's-
building?
let's call
You
it
know,
out.
Jack,
Probably should.
yeah.
No. Please, no,
No.
not on the record. You can have a conversation. It's where somebody lives. We don't want to be broadcasting.
No, all right, so you don't have to tell me where it lives, sorry, I.
Yeah, no, it's okay, but I
I'm
mean,
gonna go stand there and
privacy.
stare
No,
at them,
no,
but,
it's a fair
question.
Well,
No, I,
fair.
yeah,
Local
and I-
fair. That's fair,
I'll be
but,
quiet.
yeah, no, read the broadsheet because that does,
Does have.
it has the information that you want,
Alerted
that's
me.
not, too invasive
That's
or
right.
intrusive into anybody's private life.
Kudos on having another.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they'll be both great board members. and we're
Thank
really
you,
pleased.
yeah.
Is
Well,
somebody
put you on the
leaving?
spot, but,
That's the other question.
all right, guys, wait, what's the other
We
question?
don't know. Well, that
who's
makes an
leaving?
extra board member, so is somebody leaving? We think they'll all be on the board will stay?
I mean, I think, I'll wait for the kind of official news to come out.
Yeah, I think that's a fair, all
Okay.
right, let's,
No, just.
no more questions, no more questions.
Don't
Don't know where to go, I don't want to know. Let us focus on the topic at hand, please.
Right,
So this way,
The-
Ben will come back again.
yeah, I'll be back. This is, I used to be on a community board, so this is like old fun for me.
So which borough? We'll just be broad. Which borough?
And 5.
Five,
Oh.
So not dissimilar from one,
Okay.
or,
okay, guys,
15 towns.
my committee,
So you guys are my people.
Yes.
yeah, that's right, my committee, quietness.
Yeah.
It lasted so long. We gotta know.
We're moving forward. Claudia, why don't you unmute yourself and let us know what your plan is and how you want to go forward. Claudia Filomeno.
Hey everyone, I know I'm normally in person. I'm not today. I apologize, Justine. Usually I'm there to see you. So we are going to start, I think we're just waiting for Gwen and Nick, but we're going to sort of just kick off an overview and then just sort of, as Raju said, like a general sort of overview on where we are right now in terms of what we think construction staging is going to look like, and talk a little bit just about, as you know, we have a community meeting on June 20th. So just talk about what to expect at that meeting. That's my brief 5-second overview. I'm usually not that brief. I'm usually a lot more verbose than that, but that's sort of what we're planning. Hi, everybody.
Thank you. And Nick Cordone just walked in, so Nick, take a breather. Sorry, but if we
Please.
start.
Do you want to map yourself? Because I had to do it.
Who's gonna be
You know.
controlling the,
In speed.
I can run it, yeah. If we got functioning remote?
Yeah.
Yes, wonderful.
Can I make a comment while we're setting up to Nick? Is that okay? Thank you.
yes, okay,
Claudia, I'm sorry, Gwen and Kim.
they're on their way. Okay, do we need to wait for them?
Raju can take the.
We can start.
Okay, but,
I'm gonna do my thank you first to Nick.
Really?
Yes.
Well, you can sit down. for
Which
this.
you can file. Could be filed under no good deed shall go unpunished.
Okay.
Well, because when I walked into the dog run the other day, everyone was glaring at me. I'm like, why are you glaring at me? I'm like, twice a day, they come in and clean this dog park. And we have to go out and wait.
Okay, well,
Thank you.
As it should be.
No, that's
That's
a
a
joke.
good thing.
We are so
I
thankful.
appreciate it.
It is so much nicer, so much cleaner.
Okay.
The people who come and clean it are lovely. They're lovely.
They're great folks. As a quick segue, very briefly, I'm gonna mention it later. The other follow-up I owed you was the latches and the hinges.
Yes.
Latches are underway, almost fixed, all but one in the playground in West Thames.
Yeah.
Kowski underway, but the playground basically are fixed. The latches and the dog runs will be underway shortly.
Get the surfacing.
That is a longer conversation, but we're on track.
But anyway, yeah,
Slide.
The slide we're tracking as well. We have it, important up.
thank you so much. It was wonderful. It really, you took action. It happened. It's working.
Thank the team, thank Ron Torres and the operations team.
And they're lovely.
So thank you, Justine and Jeff. Good evening. I'll turn it over to Raj in a second. We thank you again for the opportunity to be in front of you. We were at the community board, as you recall, in January, reviewing the southern portion of Northwest Project, which is called Route 67, but it's South Cove and South Esplanade. And then we were at the EPC committee in March and April back-to-back, which is 2, 3, and 4, and then 1 and 5. As you all know, thankfully, very hopefully, we have a meeting coming up on June 20th, which we'll get to briefly. But we wanted tonight to take that opportunity to update you guys on the project generally in advance of that. And also start workshopping, as we had discussed previously, some of the considerations around construction. So with that, I will turn it over to Roger Mann, our president and CEO, who will kick it off, and thank you for being.
Yeah, okay. Hello, everybody again.
And?
Really, Bill, you guys want to say hi to?
Yeah.
Kelly Huron with AECom, consulting engineer, command authority.
Bill Barton, I'm the lead of the design build team.
You guys hopefully have met over the course of other meetings. You know, there's a little, small army of folks working on this project. So I appreciate all their work. It's been by tonight. So I'm just going to set the table a little bit in terms of why we're here having this conversation. And then we'll start getting a little more detail around the Northwest construction staging, our early thinking there, and then talk a little about the public meeting on June 20th. Part of the reason why I'm showing up today is because I know this construction company is going to be a long conversation. I'm committed to being here all the way through with all of you, just make sure we figure this out together and do it in a way that feels respectful of the residents here, but also delivers a really critical project. So, I think continuing communication, having an open door the whole way through, I think it's to be really key to building trust and making sure that building. That's part of the reason why I want to come by, other than good to see you all, and who wouldn't want to be at a community board meeting,
On a call.
and
There's it.
let's see if it's. It works?
No.
Not yet, but
Where's the point?
there we go.
Here, but it should be,
Okay,
you pointed it here.
Okay.
Try it again, let's see.
let's see.
There you go.
Oh, boom. Okay, let's go back.
Hey.
Yay, all right. All right, we're here. I'm gonna give you 30 seconds on the south update since we're just talking. I thought it'd be nice to give you an update there. And then I'll turn it over to kind of Gwen to run through kind of where we are on Northwest. And then talk a little bit about next steps. So hopefully pretty straightforward agenda. Why we are here. I always think it's super valuable to zoom out. I know you guys have heard this stuff and lived this stuff for many years, but I always do think it's worth repeating how severe the risks are. And a lot of this is from the city's elements who are working on it. Resiliency work. You all know that, the risk is very real and it's present and it's coming. Some of these stats are always jarring, but, the risk to buildings in Lower Manhattan in the 2050s, which is not that far away, are really significant. And simultaneously, as we've seen this last week, even the heavy rain and cloudburst events, not just the storm surge and sea level rise, are really significant threats to our neighborhoods. And so we need to get serious about them consistently. And I think the thing that sometimes doesn't get talked about as much, but is also, I think, a deep concern is the heat island question in the long term, especially in summer months. What the implications are for weather and how do we cool our neighborhoods for these extreme weather events that are seeing more and more of. So that's, the broad framing that I think many of you know all too well.
No, I'm sorry, that was me.
Better is good.
I clicked off of it. So,
Okay, great. So I think what's missing on this slide is a map of Lower Manhattan, but the floodplain that we are really trying to address includes, see, 120 buildings, 25,000 residents, you all here, 61,000 jobs, billions and billions of dollars of property value. The World Trade Center sector, billions rebuilding, critical institutions for community colleges and heritage spoils, and the neighborhoods, right? So it's a wide swath of different kinds of uses that we're seeking to really protect with this, for not just Battery Park City, but the neighborhoods just immediately to the inland. You probably have seen this slide 1,000 times over the course of the last few years, but again, just a reminder that this is an effort that's really linked to a series of moves that EDC in particular, with Parks Department and others, have been planning for the better part of the decade. Right? Part of this, I think, a pretty far-sighted strategy to really protect Lower Manhattan post Sandy, and so our effort, both in the south and north, links in with the efforts down the Battery, and hopefully can come on the east side. I mean, you all know more about this than I do, which is the status of those efforts, but I think it's important to note that we're coordinating very closely with the city on all this. So none of this work is work that I've really done. This is work that Gwen and others have been working on for years. Just the Ballfield's resiliency work. It's kind of a site-specific effort to protect that facility. The South Battery Park City is on construction is well underway. It's always encouraging to report that it's largely on schedule and largely on budget. So that's happy news. And then we have a tremendous amount of work to do ahead on the Northwest project, right? Not a lot of work behind us, but another year of design, permitting work, and then several years of construction. So we're, momentum is building in a good way, and I think we're learning as we go, and we're ready to take on this sort of bigger piece of the puzzle. So I'm going to just give a couple of quick updates here. I'm happy to come back to you all at a later date. It's helpful to kind of explain what's going on. I don't want to dwell too much on it, but I did think it was useful, again, because this project's are all linked. Again, probably a slide you've seen before. Museum Jewish Heritage there, top of your map, the Battery, below right. Our effort really linking those two places together with a resiliency strategy, rebuilding a Wagner, rebuilding a pavilion. What we hope and believe will be a better pavilion and better open space once construction is complete. And better pictures there of what's going on. So here's the sequence of events from beginning in 23 to substantial completion, we hope, about this time next year. And we can see here happening right now is the 24-25 flood walk site work in particular, and it's changing really almost every day, every week now. For those of you who are civil engineering, nerds, yeah, it's fascinating and fun to watch, especially from the Museum of Jewish Heritage. When you peek your way through the chart, there's always something new happening, something new people over your site. So exciting to watch. And this image is probably a couple weeks old now, because again, there's been movement on it since then. You can see the pavilion building rising. If you go by there, I encourage you to check it out and start to look at the kind of architectural form of the building, so it can take shape. The wall is big, the curves, big, and the windows. You'll start to see them popping out, and you kind of see the building emerging out of the ground. And then on the lower right, you can see some of the below grade work that will become the base for Wagner Park. So it's real. So that's a very quick update. I'll turn it over to Nick to talk a little bit about the outreach today, and then I think Gwen's going to walk you through a little bit of the structure. Thanks for the time.
Thank you for that. It's nice to have the update too. I'm very happy to hear that it's mostly on schedule and mostly on budget.
Yeah, and we're happy to come back again to talk more about that. It's interesting.
Thank you, and thank you, Roger. And good evening, everyone, again. So this is just a quick rundown of some of the engagement. It's always, I think, helpful for us to mark where we are and where we're going, and to see it all here on a slide. I know for me, reminds us, as Roger had noted, all the work we have ahead, but also a lot of the work that we've done already. As I mentioned at the top, we were with you here in January, in March and April, and tonight. But over the course of the meeting, I know we had done Alice may be on the phone, I'm not sure if she is, but I know that she has long been a booster of the walk shops or walking physical site. I was with Gwen earlier today and she had mentioned to me also how helpful that is once you're actually out in the physical space, seeing what some of the changes are that are needed and how they can be incorporated in a way that benefits the neighborhood and is also done beautifully. And then we did the reach specific workshops at the start of last year where we went reach by reach with the architects, engineers actually doing the work on these challenges, all leading us up to where we are. So very briefly, I will put a plug in again for our meeting on June 20th. That's 2 Thursdays from now, Stuyvesant High School. And because I know I'm channeling Jeff Galloway because we always talk about this in terms of outreach, just so we all have it here. Thank you first off to the community board and to Zach for helping get the word out through your newsletters. Our local officials offices are helping spread the word as well. You will see email blasts, the first one which went today, a couple more in the coming weeks, social media, direct emails to the building managers and some of the tenant associations and beyond Battery Park City. And ads in some of our fine downtown local publications like the broadsheet, Rebecca Trade, Downtown Post, NYC, etc. But my favorite thing, show and tell, let's say you're not online and you don't read the paper, like the broadsheet isn't the first thing you read every day, like it is for me, it should be for everyone. Or you went to your junk mail or you don't read the paper. 24,000 pieces of direct physical mail is going to every mailbox in the project area in 10280, 10282, 10013. And including oddly the 2 buildings in Battery Park City that have a 1004 zip code that Matt and I sometimes joke about. So you really have to be trying not to be made aware. Please come to the meeting, hold it in your hand and decide not to if you want to, but the meeting is here, the notice is here, and we look forward to seeing everyone. So without putting too fine more of a point on it, I will turn it over to Gwen Dawson, our Senior VP of Design.
Thanks. I'm gonna come up there, I think, if I can get a little closer to my.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. Yeah.
And talk loudly, Gwen, because people online will hear you and they have to pick up.
I will do my best.
Around to see it.
To see
Here.
better, yeah.
Okay, all right, so. In follow-up to what Dick was talking about, want to talk a little bit more and also follow up to Raju's comments. Talk a little bit about again, underscoring the benefits of this project. Of course, we all know that it's going to create a flood barrier system to protect the area against the 2050s 100-year storm. It's going to provide protection from 2.5 feet of projected sea level rise. We're going to be looking at heat island effect and then trying to cool the neighborhood during heat events, prevent ponding, more than a foot's depth during the rain events in Battery Park City. We also sometimes lose track of talking about the fact that this will actually reduce homeownership costs by removing Battery Park City from the current flood zone. And eliminate the homeowner's need to purchase flood insurance for federally backed mortgages. We're looking as we go along and as we've highlighted in the past for opportunities to improve and enhance the public spaces within Battery Park City. So we're going to be able to provide universal accessibility and some key open public spaces. Remediate some circulation pinch points that currently exist and provide increased improved seating. We're actually going to be increasing the landscaping, the plantings within Battery Park City by about 30% in total planting coverage within the project area, including twice as much that currently exists on the South Esplanade. I know that planting landscaping trees are of very high interest. And so this is some very good news in that regard. We're going to be increasing native plantings as we look at the plant palettes. And that will better support birds and pollinators with new planted areas that shorten existing gaps in habitat corridors. And we're going to be improving in-water habitats as well by providing approximately 1,200 linear feet of reconstructed bulkhead that designed to provide environments that support marine life. You're going to be hearing at the meeting on June 20th, some design updates as we have gone from the 40% design to the 60% design. So as you look at the different reaches, as we're looking from left to right, from south to north, as the case may be, we're going to have updates for you to see with each of the reaches. In some areas, they're going to be concentrated to highlight some of the responses to comments that we received from the community, as well as simple design development, things such as greater level of detail and specificity in the alignment, providing materials and planting selection, and the progress there. We are going to be highlighting design development with some particular focus on developments and advancement of the design for the North Esplanade, around Brookfield Place and Pump House Park, the street ends south of the South Esplanade and South Cove. What we're also going to be doing as we kind of advance beyond just talking in terms of design and start talking about constructions, we're going to look at kind of redoing the naming conventions. We've gone with the reaches 1 through 7. We're going to try to be a little bit more descriptive as we talk about construction in identifying the specific areas by names that you all know. We'll refer back to the reaches as well, so we won't get confused, but we're going to try to shift that a little bit as we go forward. We're going to highlight some of the things that still need to happen after the 60% design. We're awaiting agency comments on the draft 60% from a variety of different agencies that have jurisdiction over the project area. We have participated in a value engineering effort that's sponsored by New York City OMB, and we're looking at ways that we can and will incorporate certain suggestions from that effort. We're going to be doing some further refinement of developing a refinement of the construction phasing plan. And we're still working with New York City, New York State Departments of Transportation on feedback that we need to finalize the details of the crossing of Route 9A. For the June 20th meeting, you can expect to have a design update presentation, which will be a little bit more abbreviated than we may be accustomed to in the past, so that there's an opportunity for further interaction and greater interaction with the attendees on various topics. We're going to have a series of breakout tables that include open space improvements. That will also encompass Pump House Park, Brookfield Place, the new street ends, seating concepts. The second one will be tree impacts. This will have a lot of the specific information that I know everyone has been looking for with respect to trees and the impacts that the project will have, the areas where we may need to remove trees and areas where we can replant trees and also save trees. So that will be a popular table, I'm sure. We'll have a third table on biodiversity landscape palette that will include concepts for green infrastructure that we can incorporate throughout the project area. Fourth, on furniture and materials. Talk about the material palette and the wall colors and textures and furniture and how that will look and feel. Finally, there'll be a table about interim open space improvements. We know that even though we are, as we've discussed in the past, we're looking at a construction plan that will allow us to maintain the bulk of Rockefeller Park open throughout the construction duration. And we're looking at beginning the construction of the Northwest project in earnest only after the Wagner Park has reopened in the South project. So we understand that even though we're taking those steps, that there will still be a diminution of the overall open space that is available to the public. So we want to have a discussion and a dialogue with community members as to what might serve to try to alleviate some of those impacts, whether we can look at some street closures or on certain days or certain parts of the week, an open streets concept, whether we could do some improvements along West Street that might be helpful in that regard, or there are opportunities for us to put some play equipment in certain specific locations within Battery Park City that might help to provide some additional opportunities for recreation. So those are the kinds of things that we want to really have some discussions about and get some feedback from the community on. So we're gonna kind of shift now and talk a little bit more pointedly about construction. I know that construction has been something that folks have been interested in for a long time. What's going to look like, how long is it going to take, what are the impacts going to be, how's it going to affect me, how's it going to affect our quality of life. So we want to share with you what we know. There's a lot we still don't know now, but we have really been working very diligently to try to come up with a scenario that really encapsulates what we think the construction is likely to look like and what the durations will be and how it may impact the overall community and in what order we think it makes sense to do things in. We will have much more detail about this as the weeks go by, and we'll be back, of course, to talk to you once we have more information. So with that caveat, I want to talk a little bit about what we have looked at as our objectives as we try to plan for a construction phasing plan, staging plan. We would like to complete the project as quickly as possible with as limited disruption as possible. Now, those things are kind of, counterintuitive. There's a little bit of conflict there because doing it quickly is that there means that there's greater intensity and so there's disruption that goes along with that. But there are reasons that we want to do it as quickly as possible. First, to avoid the delay in achieving the flood protection. I don't know about you, but we're 6 days into the Atlantic hurricane season of the year, and every time it rolls around, I'm holding my breath, hoping that we don't have another major event before we can get these kinds of protections in place. So we're certainly interested in achieving that level of protection just as quickly as we can. And it also serves to shorten the overall duration of the construction impacts to the community. And I understand it may be cold comfort to say that, okay, we're going to shorten it, but it's going to not be terribly pleasant during that short period of time. But that's, as we've discussed many times in the past, a bit of a trade-off there. And we want to try to contain project costs by avoiding escalated costs. The longer we spread out the construction duration, the more cost escalation that comes into play and the higher the overall project cost becomes. As I mentioned before, we want to begin construction of the Northwest project after Wagner Park has reopened. We may have some isolated early works packages that are very limited in scope that we do before we're not going to begin the construction in earnest of the project until after Wagner Park is reopened. We want to provide meaningful open spaces throughout the construction. As I was just discussing, we want to make sure that we do whatever we can to leverage the open space opportunities that we have in the community to be responsive to the needs and the desires of the residents. We want to sequence construction to accelerate the protection of the highest risk areas and those areas where we have an opportunity to provide a continuous stretch of space that can be reopened relatively sooner than the overall construction duration. I'll talk a little bit more about that as we go along. And lastly, but certainly not least, we want to maintain very open and consistent, if not constant, communication with the community throughout construction. It's going to take a lot of give and take. We have to be available and to be responsive to any concerns and needs that the community has during this time. And we also have to be very proactively communicating with the community on what's happening when, and so that we can try to address any problems as they come up or hopefully before they come up. To remind you of some of the things that we're dealing with in the construction of this project and how they impact our overall construction duration and the level of impacts. There are a lot of very, very complicated, complex elements that have to be addressed in this construction. And I'll just name a few of them. This is by all means not all of them. But as we've talked about in the past, the area around Brookfield Place and the North Cove Arena, the area below that is incredibly complex. But the main driver of the time and the complexity of that area is the need to bridge over the path tunnels. And that's going to require a couple of bridging structures that have to be constructed at the surface and then lowered down into place to go over those tunnels. It is a very, very sensitive and complicated construction endeavor. The second is Route 9A. I mean, anytime you're having to do construction across a major thoroughfare like Route 9A, it's very complicated. It involves a lot of different agencies, entities, but also a lot of utilities. There's disruption to traffic. There's a very sensitive kind of approach that has to be taken with respect to that construction. Thirdly, there's a kind of a peculiar condition that exists at Gateway where one of the buildings was originally constructed. We're still not quite sure why, with a little bit of a cantilever over the existing platform. And so that's kind of created a construction challenge as we try to marry up the flood barrier system in a condition where the building is actually extending a little bit over the relieving platform. So that's taking some special efforts as well.
Jump.
Oh, I went backwards.
Okay.
Okay, the fourth is because this is a neighborhood that's fully built out, and because we have lots of active programmed open spaces, there really is not very much space to stage and perform the work necessary for a project such as this. So we're having to identify, as we can, places on the land, in the water, where things, materials can be brought, stored temporarily, where equipment can be placed to do this work. It's quite the puzzle, and it's going to be a real challenge for our contractor. Lastly, I think that, the pump station, the addition of the permanent pump station next to, in the plaza east of Stuyvesant High School is something that is in terms of its design, is lagging a bit behind by necessity because we're having to do that in close coordination with New York City DEP. But that is also a complexity because we're going to be doing construction on two different sides of Stuyvesant High School. On the north side, as we do extend the esplanade, and on the east side as we construct this pump station. So just a taste of all of the complexities that we're dealing with here. So here we're going to go to kind of the bottom line here. We think that this construction is going to take approximately 5 years to complete. We had originally hoped that we would be able to do it in less time, but if you can kind of go down to the bottom bar here, we've divided the project area into 5 different sub areas, but the construction duration is largely driven by the length of time that it takes to do the construction around Brookfield Place. Because that construction, that sub area itself will take just about 5 years, we anticipate. And so therefore, the overall construction duration of the entire project will be about 5 years. But if you can also see, not all of the project area will take 5 years. And so what we're hoping to do is to stagger and phase the other areas somewhat so that we don't have everything under construction at the same time. I'm going to go through some maps that will show this in a little bit of a different form, but just to summarize what you're seeing on this slide, we're looking to start at Brookfield Place because we want to get that started. It's going to take the longest. And going back to one of our objectives, we want to also be able to start at the areas where we have the greatest risk involved. Now, the greatest risk within the project area right now, and the greatest immediate risk is in the Route 9A Tribeca area and the North Esplanade. That was what we previously referred to as reaches 1 and 2. That is the lowest. That represents the lowest point within the overall project area. And so we want to get that started so we can get that in place as soon as possible. If you recall, during Superstorm Sandy, that's where the water that came down West Street and destroyed the ball field and went into the community. So that's where that water came in. So we want to try to address that as soon as possible. That's not going to take, those areas are not going to take the 5 years. And as we have them kind of, marked in approximation. So we don't know, we're not saying exactly how long each one of those is going to take. It will be somewhat less time than the overall 5-year period. We also have an opportunity to, if we also start on the south neighborhood, meaning around South Cove and the South Esplanade, that also is an area that doesn't take as long as the rest of the overall project duration. If we start there, we can, within a relatively shorter period of time, manage to get a very continuous stretch of, when you marry it up with the South project, a very continuous stretch of the overall southern part of Battery Park City reopen. We will have, at that point, at that completion, we would have all of the South project reopened, and we could have then all the stretch from South Cove all the way up to Kowski Plaza reopened in a relatively shorter period of time. And then looking at, then we would wait on, when we're talking about the north neighborhood, that's the area around what we call reaches 3 and 4. So around the east side of Rockefeller Park and around the Irish Hunger Memorial, that would stay open and start construction later and towards the end of the overall project duration. So I'm going to show this to you in a slightly different format, which may be easier to digest, but I wanted to give you that overall explanation first. So if you are looking at the map, at the start of year 1, we would start with the areas that are now highlighted in red. So looking at the south neighborhood, there's an area just on the lower end, the southern end of South Cove is where we would start that. So we don't have all of the areas within each sub area under construction at the same time. The objective is to kind of to gradually kind of take what we need, finish it up, and then continue on. We would be starting around Brookfield Place, not the entirety of Brookfield Place, but that northeast corner area around North Cove Marina. Similarly, in the Route 9A Tribeca reach there, the area there on the right side of your screen, we would be looking at starting the area along North Moore. And then starting the area that's the North Esplanade area where we'd be doing the extension. So those are the areas that we would be looking to start with. Now, at the end of the first year, start of the second year, we would expand the areas that are under construction. So you can see now a much greater extent of the south neighborhood is now under construction, all the way up to the gateway side And then a much larger area of Brookfield Place is under construction. We will have expanded the area under construction within the Route 9A Tribeca area to now include the Route 9A frontage in front of BMCC. And we will be continuing with the North Esplanade. So by the middle of year two, though, we're looking at, now we're starting to get some areas that are reopened at this point. So towards the left side of your screen, that area that we started with around South Cove, and then the area just west of the regatta there is now mostly, that area is mostly reopened by this time. We've expanded then the area under construction there further to the north so that we've got all of the South Esplanade and all of the Brookfield Place area under construction at this point. We've got all of the area around Northmore, Route 9A, and the North Esplanade under construction at this point in time. Now, skipping ahead to the end of year three, we've got that entire area from the south neighborhood, from South Cove all the way up to Brookfield Place, Rakowski Plaza reopened. We also have all of Northmore, the Northmore frontage, and about half of the Route 9A frontage open, and the North Esplanade. So now we're starting to get some real traction in getting things reopened. Again, we still have all of Brookfield Place under construction, and we have started the construction that is adjacent to adjacent to Rockefeller Park on the east, where the playground and the park outside.
If you want to point to anything, that top button is a point.
Thank you for pointing that out. That's,
Oh, nice.
no.
Yeah, we saw you. Maybe you have to hold it down and then,
There you go.
there you are, a little bit. Then.
Oh, the rib dot. It's a little.
It's a little delayed. It's a little delayed because that's through the internet.
Okay, all right. Well, maybe I'll finish it and maybe I won't. Okay, so now that we get to the end of year four,
Okay.
we've got a big chunk of this project that's now complete. All of the south neighborhood, a good portion of Brookfield Place at this point, all of North Esplanade, pretty much all of the Route 9A Tribeca section is now reopened. And what we have left is that area around the ferry terminal, the southern part of the marina, and the area along the eastern end of Rockefeller Park, the southern portion of Rockefeller Park. And so then we go all the way to the end of year five where we've got everything open. Now, these are, again, they're very gross approximations at this point. But this is what we know, and this is what we wanted to share with you as we kind of continue forward. And we, did you have a question?
I do. A quick question. Is this little space, are you just not doing anything here?
Yeah, the advantage we have is that we actually have a high point there. And so there's a little spine there that exists around where the Hurricane Maria Memorial is, that really doesn't require a barrier at all, because it achieves the design flood elevation on its own without any assistance from us.
The red parts,
Okay.
that's.
I'm sorry. What? No, I'm really going.
You're going forward, you gotta go
I
forward.
gotta go backward.
There you go, that one.
Okay, which one were you?
They're all closed to public.
When it's red.
When it's
The
red.
red parts.
Now, yes, they're closed to the public. However, one of the things that the team is working on is, and we will have, as you know, in the coming weeks, is a pedestrian circulation plan. So it shows how people can continue to get in and around the buildings and to their locations. And, how we are protecting egress to these buildings as the construction continues. But there will be, the bulk of those areas that are in red would be closed to the public. So thought it would also be helpful to really to point out that throughout the construction, there will still be significant open spaces and parks available in the immediate vicinity of the neighborhood. And so we've tried to highlight those that go from on the southern end of the Battery and Wagner Park, which would be reopened, the parks that are more interior to the neighborhood, such as Teardrop Park, the ball fields, West Thames, Rector Park, and then those that are in the immediate vicinity of Battery Park City, including Hudson River Park, Washington Market Park, and Liberty Park. So there's a significant amount of open space, not to diminish the impacts that we will have on the community, but just an important factor to keep in mind.
Will the Battery be opened as well? When?
I think that certainly the northern part of the Battery that we're going to be working on should be open next year. It's my understanding, I believe, Kimberly, maybe you can help it, but I think that the southern part of the Battery Coastal Project is supposed to be open in 26. So there'll be a little bit of a lag for that part into 26 before that's reopened. We want to set up a structure that we can all be comfortable with on how we handle ongoing construction coordination and communication with the community. So before we get construction underway, we want to set up a process and a structure for how we can regularly have interaction with mechanisms for regular dissemination of information, getting feedback, addressing any concerns or problems as they come up. We want to have construction briefings that will include members of the community, CB1, key agency partners, and elected officials' offices. And, you know, our overall goal is to really inform and maintain consistent communication about our construction plans and the progress as we go forward. We're going to be continuing to have individual meetings. We've had a number of meetings with individual buildings along the alignment. So we wanted to highlight there are 17 buildings that are adjacent to this flood barrier alignment. And we understand that there are also other buildings that will experience impacts as well of just the fact that there's construction going on. But we want to continue having regular meetings so that as we go forward, we can, for each of these buildings, understand and try to communicate how is this impacting your building? What are your concerns? What are your questions? How can we help to try to mitigate as much as possible any adverse impacts that you might be experiencing? So we'll be continuing that effort. So just to summarize some upcoming public engagement opportunities, in addition to the June 20th 60% design meeting and the individual meetings that are going to be ongoing, we're going to be continuing to solicit input on the temporary open space use concepts throughout the summer and fall. We're going to be advancing design of the pump station. There'll be a separate community engagement process that will apply to that, because we are not at a point where we can really show you designs of that yet. We're still working with New York City DEP to formulate those, but we will be formulating and disseminating a new public engagement schedule that's applicable to that design development as we move forward. We'll have the continuing LMCR quarterly updates. And we'll be doing agency permitting. And as we do agency permitting, there will be opportunities for public input to that process. We'll have public design review, commission review. We're looking to do that in the summer, the fall. That will provide opportunity for public input and comment to that process. We will be planning a DEI draft EIS hearing in mid-September, which you of course will be able to attend, and we will be disseminating the draft EIS, and you'll have an opportunity to submit written comments as well. So there you'll have the ability to submit written comments and to come to the hearing to provide those in the hearing settings. And then we would look to have a pre-construction meeting, public meeting early in 2025 as we get through the remainder of the design process. And we look forward to the beginning of construction, and we're anticipating that around the mid to part of 2025, we will be in a position to begin construction activities. We want to make sure that we have another opportunity to provide an update on exactly where we are and get feedback from you in a pre-construction public meeting in early 2025. So that's the end, I think, other than just this final photo with Angela in the foreground. So happy to take any questions.
Yes, okay, we got a lot of questions. First of all, Gwen, I want to thank you. I want to thank you all for being here to do this and taking our questions. Wow, it's a lot. So 5 years is the math, well, 5 years, but so we figure 6, to be fair. I mean, and that's giving a little bit of leeway.
No one hold their feet to fire. 5.
5, yeah, well, yeah, but that's a lot still. But you guys really put a lot of detail and thought into this. Okay, and we do have some very major questions. I'm gonna let everybody go around the room first. Jeff first, then we'll just go around. I know Tammy has her hand up, but we'll get to you, Tammy. And then we'll go in the room. Go ahead.
I have an infinite number of questions, but I want to talk about. And that is, there are, all the presentations we've seen so far have shown what the end product is going to look like. And there are lots of places that are not supposedly impacted in the end product, like the lower level MDS facade, like most of Kowski Plaza, and so forth. But it looks like during construction, certainly the lower level of the Esplanade would be off limits during construction. And in some of the renderings I saw at the Gateway presentation last week, and thank you all for doing that, it was very helpful. It showed barges and cranes out along the Hudson River, which leads you to imagine that during construction, there may be substantial destruction along some of those areas that are otherwise not impacted, theoretically not impacted. We're trying to save trees and so forth.
Right.
So, first part of our question deals with how confident are we that we're going to be able to save those trees that are outside of the so-called construction, I mean, the area that's being reconstructed? And then a related question has to do with, for example, on Kowski Plaza, the playground and the dog run that theoretically are not being touched, but they're immediately adjacent to a lot of construction activities. How will they remain open? And if there's anything that we want to fix or change about those, is this an opportunity to maybe improve those spaces?
Excellent questions all around. And I certainly, I'll start out by recognizing and inviting, we have other team members that are here and online that I may want to ask to contribute to some of these responses. But you're correct that there will be areas such as Kowski Plaza that may not be ultimately changed, but during construction may not be a particularly pleasant place to be because there's going to be construction all around it. And I know that we've spent a lot of time talking about, okay, how do we best depict and create an understanding of kind of what the environment is going to be during construction, even in the areas that are maybe not actually being changed. And how do we kind of track this temporary condition over time, that and how that may impact not only individual buildings and how people get in and out, but also their experience of the neighborhood. So we don't have that part quite ready to, be able to share in a way that's going to, I think, be meaningful yet. But it's on our minds and we're trying to get there. I don't know if anybody else has anything they want to add to that, or I know Claudia's on.
Yeah, and I think that I think we're trying to present information at the level of detail where we are now, and try to just make sure that you all have a kind of sense of how we're thinking about the problem. And as we get to a finer grain of detail, like the design process, we'll get to finer grain of detail on the construction side. And we'll obviously, we're trying to figure out how to do the sort of most, 21st century sophisticated construction project we can. And so I think we're gonna have to push ourselves collectively to figure out how to do that in a way that is working in a very living, active neighborhood. In some ways, this project is unique because it's so intimately connected to this place, in a way that is not the case for some of the other districts. And so, I think we're gonna have to push ourselves quite hard to figure out how to do that when it's as sensitive as we can make it. And I think the thing that's exciting for me anyway is the kind of interim open space question, because not to distract, but I mean, sincerely, like, I think there's an opportunity for you all to decide to be as ambitious as you want to be there and tell us how far we should go in thinking about the temporary open space, what you want to see. And then maybe that stuff over time becomes a new open space that we see in New York over time. So I'm curious where the feedback comes from you all there as we have those conversations too. Because I think there are some opportunities to take a neighborhood that's kind of, 1980s, 1990s vintage and think about kind of what might be the streetscape center. So, and on the tree question, I think we've got a table on trees on June 20th, so I don't want to misspeak on the precision of our tree thinking unless others know it there, but I think.
Yeah, I was gonna jump in there, Raju. You wanted me to just speak to that a little bit. We've talked a lot about this internally too, about tree protection plans and how we execute those. So we're still, I think, in those early stages of developing those, but we're certainly aware that this is important to make sure that we're putting, the best protection in place. I'm sorry, am I echoing? I apologize. I am.
You're not for us, you might be for
Oh,
yourself.
I'm echoing for myself. It's a bit unnerving to hear myself twice. But yeah, we're working on trying to find, the best method of tree protection along the South Esplanade, but also in other areas adjacent to construction.
Thank you. I'm gonna let Tammy go, please, because she's got to leave and she's got connectivity issues. So Tammy, go ahead. Unmute yourself and go ahead. Thank you, sorry.
Okay, thanks a lot, and I apologize.
Louder, Tammy?
Thank you, and I apologize. This is the best that I can do. Is it loud enough?
Yes,
Yeah.
now it is, yes.
All right, thanks. A couple of things. It's a ton of information. I truly appreciate you guys coming and everybody in the room and online, and there's a absolute ton. So I'm only going to do some overview comments. I did send an email to the Battery Park City Authority asking for the June meeting to have a longer, more fully robust, full presentation, not from 6 to 7 and then going to an hour and a half of breakouts, but really to try and have less breakouts, more information that everybody can hear all the same information. Last time, there was not enough time to be able to have robust discussions in each breakout. And if you were interested in landscaping and open space, you couldn't go to both. And I think that it really has a chilling effect on information that's shared and doesn't do the best opportunity of getting messaging across with Q&A. So I would ask that you rethink that and to prioritize putting a lot of the information in one general section, and that if people want a deeper dive afterwards, that is an hour, but that the main presentation is at least an hour and a half when you're talking about a huge project like this. Secondarily, I'd love to see CB1 attend in a more robust manner the June 20th so we can have a deep dive and then do another resolution. Gwen, can you answer one question? If the EIS, the draft EIS is September 2024, does that mean that the basic plans are unchangeable other than paint and furniture and fixture beyond that point?
I think that, and I would invite any other responses, but I believe that we are fairly well set when it comes to the alignment and the basic construction and design approaches. And I think I described it when we got to this point on the South project, there's opportunities to make some changes and adjustments on the margins of the design. But, you know, there's really not, we've advanced the design far enough along, and there's been a lot of decisions then that get made, the comments that come in from the agencies, the coordination that has to happen, that we can't really make major moves on the design at that point.
So when you're talking about design major moves, you're talking, give me an example, please, based on feedback from when you have been with us. So molded concrete seat
Benches, right?
benches versus, great, you know, is that a major part because it's part of the structure that you're looking to input? What about the design of Pump House Park? Like what to you defines the difference that the public might not understand minor from major? I think that's something that's unresolved for the public to understand. And then all the questions that have been raised at any of the other prior meetings, have they all been answered? And if so, where, so we can ensure that they've been shared? So if further questions have come, you know, and people want to know, well, why couldn't this move, that we can point them to a direction?
That would be helpful. Well, go ahead, answer part one.
Okay, so things like the material or the color, things of those nature, that's still open. That's something that can still be adjusted. Am I stepping out of line by saying that? And you know, there are things like, I know that there were a lot of comments on Pump House Park, which we are going to be responding to and providing some new material in response to the comments that we got last time around. So I think that's something that we are still looking to get to a final solution on. That's not fully baked at this point until we have that additional discussion that is in June 20th and in the follow-up to that. But when we're talking about changing the alignment or taking, doing a different approach to suggesting that we do a berm instead of a deployable flood barrier in certain situations. Those kinds of things are pretty integral to the underlying design. And I don't think, and we can't really make adjust our changes to that level of design. And in terms of the questions that have been asked, there have been comments and questions that have come up related to the 40% design that we are going to be then responding to and addressing at the June 20th meeting. As far as comments that we've gotten in the past, Claudia, can you answer that question? What we've posted?
Yeah, I can jump in there too.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
Claudia, correct me if I misstate anything. So I will re-up for the committee, and I know you sent a note. I will re-up for the committee. The links on our site where it all is. I know there's at least a few series of Q&A documents, including a long kind of Excel format where we had each of the questions broken out. So I'll re-up those for the group. We also have on our site, on the main site, an FAQ document, which can stand to be updated. I think that's updated last May. So I'd like to take another pass at refreshing that with some of the most commonly asked questions that keep bubbling up and re-update that. That's on our schedule to do. We have to find time to do that, make sure we're getting in touch with June 20th. But you can expect an updated FAQ as well that will hopefully kind of scoop up any of the stragglers that were otherwise asked and answered. What we also have on our site, which I think is very helpful, I know for me at least, is the full transcripts of the meetings. So if people actually have a particular question, you can open up the transcripts, a couple hundred pages. You don't have to read the whole thing, but do a keyword search for what you're looking for, and you'll see the actual question asked and answered which I know is certainly helping me when I'm trying to kind of put this stuff into digestible language for folks. So the transcripts are available as well.
Nick, I apologize. I do need to run, and I appreciate you just sending everything to us so we can share it. And any information that comes from the questions that were raised at the 40% design that people could try, and you're going to answer it more fully, I understand, at this meeting in June. But if there's information that you have that's already printable that you can share so people can then further the discussion, it's a far more robust type of engagement. If that's possible to be shared prior to June 20th for the public, that would be great. And then lastly, my comments about having a larger full presentation because you can't go to every breakout. And I think it's unfair to people to say, well, you spent so much time over here talking about landscaping, you don't get the time to go into public space dialogues. I would really prefer to have everybody hear the information. It's just, it's not as if we only care about one thing. It's not a different street. It's not a different, it's landscaping, it's public space, it's everything.
Okay, I'll take it back with the team.
Thank you, Tammy. Appreciate it. Sorry I'm calling you first, but appreciate that. And Diane, I see your hand is raised in the attendee section. I'm gonna give
Thank you, everybody, and I'm going to say good night. I look forward to seeing everybody soon. Thanks. Bye.
Take care, Tammy. I'm gonna go around the room first, and then I'll call on you, Diane. Okay, so sit tight. I see you.
But you brought up a very interesting point, and I think it's touching a lot of what I'm hearing. This is about design elements and the community input. And there's some input we can put into this, but we're not kind of gonna be dealing with the construction issues on those levels. But the design issues are something I think we want to have very strong input into. And when you have talked about creativity, thinking about this from a creative point of view, when Battery Park City was first constructed, art was an extraordinarily strong part of it. Was it Jenny Holtz who was supposed to design the gardens in Wagner Park?
Somebody was.
It was like, didn't happen, but it was city on the side, yeah, remember that? Things I don't see, dog runs. If you live in Battery Park City, if you walk in Battery Park City, you know it's also called Battery Dog City by some of us.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the humans who live here and their pets. We have, thanks to Nick, very clean dog runs. Thanks to previous design, really ugly, poorly designed, hideous dog runs, okay? Some of the most beautiful sites in the city. We should have something intensely gorgeous, something, that blows people's minds for all of us, right? And other needs as well, but to think like that, how and when? I mean, do we need to say, hey, should we think about a floatable pool out in the Hudson? These kind of things, are these doable? Is this realistic? How do we input it? And I think it's extremely important to us.
I mean, I think on the dog runs, we're happy to have a separate conversation about the kind of condition of these dog runs.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about how do we plan to make, in this future design, take care of that issue with something that's really amazing.
Yeah.
Does it fit in this question?
The dog's eye view.
The dog's eye view, yeah, exactly.
Basically, the dog runs are gonna be closed, right, during this construction. Well, Kowski Park may be open.
Not all of them will be, but some of them will be, so.
It's gonna be hard to get to. People aren't gonna have to go through.
Adjustment.
Yeah, let's just say it's not gonna be as practical as it is, and they're not great dog runs. When you look at every other park has beautiful dog runs, these are just kind of horrible. But it's not just dog runs I'm talking about. I think that's an important example. We need to think about the needs of this community. Who's living here? How are these playgrounds? We have some incredible playgrounds, but there's other needs. I mean, I'm not a person to think of them all. I'm sure everyone has their own. I think of dog runs because I have dogs and I know all the dog people, and there's thousands of us. I can tell you, thousands of dogs in Battery Park City.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that. And so these are things I think what you're saying simply, and just if it's gonna be ripped up a little bit, see what you can do, but. And that's also, we will discuss it, so you know, and we'll put in our resolution, and we'll see what the community thinks is large.
I want you to answer the question of sort of when and how.
Yeah, I think if we can go to the slide where we talk about what we're going to focus on for June 20th.
Tell me if you can do it or you can't.
Would be helpful just to show that. Who's up on the top, yeah.
That was
Yeah,
interesting.
So I think one of the things we did want to talk about is kind of interim open space improvements. If we can add some of the dog run conversation into that, like, again, for the period of construction, what can we do with the spaces we have in Battery Park City to repurpose them, make them better? I think we are open to that conversation and figuring out how we make sure that period is as well managed as we can do it. And, you know, again, I think we're looking to you guys a little bit to give us feedback there, and I would love to, you know, when you kind of digest all this information, where do you want to focus during construction and improving the existing open spaces, and what do you want to see happen on a street closure or an open street for the weekends, school next to schools, or even for some of the cul-de-sacs that we can close off temporarily. I mean, again, we don't want to push here because we are kind of curious how you want to see that neighborhood unfold during that period of time, and we're happy to take some of those ideas and run with them. So I really encourage that, you know.
Discussion, that makes sense.
You guys have
An
thoughts?
opportunity.
Yeah, totally. And I think if you guys have ideas of something that you think, you know, we haven't paid attention to that needs focus, we'd love to understand that. Yeah.
Thank you. Mary Ann?
With all the construction we talked about, local law 11 compliance has caused a lot of buildings to have very big sidewalk sheds. And it feels like, even though, to your way of thinking, it's open space, it doesn't feel like open space. There's a lot of that. Are you informed on a regular basis of what buildings are doing? Do you know if the building in 6 months or a year is going to be having a gigantic sidewalk shed so that it's can be part of your planning?
Yeah, we actually were talking about that earlier today about, you know, trying to making sure that we coordinate with the buildings that are going to be adjacent to the construction that we know will be coming up with the local law 11 requirements during the period of construction, and how we might work with them to readjust the time frame that they're doing that work. That's an excellent point. We were just talking about that.
And I would say more generally, we do interface with the buildings when they're working on getting their sheds up. They have to come through us for a permit, and we have to sort of understand the footprint, because as you know, some of those footprints of the sidewalk sheds are pretty significant. So they work with Nydia in permitting on that in conjunction with the Department of Buildings.
Right, I was concerned about advance heads up, because most buildings know there's a time frame when they're gonna have to deal with it. Exactly. Early on, you had mentioned crossing Route 9A that as an issue to deal with. Were you just talking about by Stuyvesant, or were you talking all along West Street?
No, I was talking about the crossing, the actual crossing of the streams at Stuyvesant.
At Stuyvesant,
Yeah.
okay, not at.
That's the only place they cross that. That's the only area where they cross.
Now, we do cross another street, we do cross Harrison Street as well. So there's a crossing of Route 9A, and then there's a deployable crossing of Harrison Street.
You're talking about your work crossing.
Yes.
I was thinking of people. crossing.
No.
Oh, okay, sorry.
And then one other question, just more generally, with Wagner Park gone, are there fewer park personnel working because of that? You know, did that have any impact on staffing people?
No, I mean, the authority?
Yeah.
No,
Your people.
yeah, no, the same personnel prior to the closure. So I think that's one of the things, again, we'll need to think about some of the resource plans and
Well, yeah.
for there's no intention to do so.
Thank you. Eric?
I don't have any question.
Sarah?
One of the things that came up during the, oh, I'm sorry. One of the things that came up during the Gateway meeting, I'm on the Tenants Association, and people have kept coming up to me in the hallways. And that construction legally in the city can start at 7 and run until 6. We just had work done in Kowski Plaza. Well, not we, but somebody regarding the sluice gates for the Trade Center Memorial. And the noise started at 7 in the morning, this really high-pitched drill sound. Now, I know it woke me up and obviously woke other people up as well. If we're gonna have different kinds of drilling going on, starting at 7 in the morning, there are gonna be so many irate people coming out and harassing your workers. You have no idea. The other factor is, I do live in that cantilevered building. And I swear, when that drill thing went down, we felt it. And that earthquake, it was shocking in that building.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're gonna be doing all kinds of work outside in the water, correct?
I think so.
Yeah. And there's drilling new piers and all sorts of stuff. We're all a little worried about that. And something else that's going on is new tenants moving in have no idea that all of this is happening. And the fact that the backyard may be closed and the pool may be closed. New people that have moved in with children are frantic and irate. So I do urge you to go through with making sure you tell everybody what's really going on. And it's lovely you have the bars and the red and the green and the duration. We need actual days. There are people who are now planning to move out because of this. And there are also people that are possibly not moving in because of this. If we have exactly what's going to happen so that we can maybe not minimize it, but put it into a context that people can understand. That's been the main problem with the drawings that have been presented. They look like cartoons because the individual buildings are not defined in those drawings. So people look at it, they don't know what they're looking at.
That looks fine, but.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It doesn't mean anything to people. I have a little bit of a design background. I understand it. That's not what's going on when people go onto your website. There's so many irate people right now. And there are people who work in the marina who didn't know what was going on. Yes, it's completely willful on their part not to know. And apparently the restaurant out back, Metze, didn't know. I'm sorry, I realize that they're clueless. And they should actually look around and maybe read a
Sign or two that are posted up.
God forbid. But a more individual outreach to the people that live in the buildings and not to the management companies needs to happen. I don't know how to do this. I don't know if you post construction hours. I don't know if you can talk about that in the meeting on the 20th. I'm going to be at a memorial service on that day and won't be there. But a couple of these things have been raised several times now. And the fact that it's actually going to concretely, negatively affect people's lives is freaking quite a few people out. And I just thought you should have a more nuanced version of
We are taking this incredibly.
the freak out.
We appreciate that this is a very serious undertaking that's going to affect the community for several years. And I think we all take that very seriously. And I think we're spend the next year trying to talk to as many people as we can.
Yeah.
Who start constructing, explain to them what's going on so they can make informed decisions about their lives. And I think that is the challenge ahead. For us.
I've been struggling to get people to come to your meetings
Sure.
and to get businesses to pay attention.
Totally.
You know, but I'm just one little tiny voice.
No, I think it's.
Signs,
we-
big.
We appreciate the work that you guys do to get the word out about this work, and I think a lot of the more small group discussions, people who are effective, project like the retailers, who continue something that we need to continue over the course of the next year. We're not gonna get to everybody, obviously, but we're gonna try to do our best to make it possible.
Yeah.
And again, we know that this is gonna have you know, we're gonna have challenges in the course of this construction project. I think the thing we're trying to impress with you all is that we're gonna do our best to navigate all the way through. We're trying to do the best we can. This is a start. We've got 5 to 6 years of conversations ahead. Meaning, starting last year. So we're gonna have to do it the whole way through, probably over and over and over again. We should get to all the people who need to. We're gonna try to build a website that really functions to get information in a real time way. All things that we're gonna have to do over the course of the next year and then for the next 5 years of construction. So it doesn't start and stop today. We want to try to give you a framework of how we're thinking about the problem first without diving into really detailed minutia, because it feels like that's.
The detailed minutia is all they want.
Well, I think
Well,
we're not trying-
eventually, yeah, when you have it.
And I've said that, so.
Yeah. No, I think we're not trying to pull any punches here. I think we're just trying to give you a framework how we're thinking
Yeah,
about it.
you're all here, you know,
Yeah.
in the room, and I'm sure if somebody actually picked up the phone to call with a question, there'd be an answer.
Yeah, and I think we want to try to find silver linings where we can.
I'd love to find a way to let people know how to communicate with you in a more effective way.
I think the best.
People aren't
honestly,
doing it.
Sorry, putting Nick on the spot. I think the best place to start is just to grab Nick and let's see if there's a conversation that we need to have.
But yeah, I mean, I will say, so Sarah, thank you so
I'm
much.
sorry.
No,
No,
it's
it's fine.
okay.
Like we said,
Really important points, and I know you're reiterating and repeating what you've heard, and you guys have heard it so many times. I love the postcards that you're flashing,
Yeah.
because that is being mailed to every single person.
hold it. Hold it.
You hold it in your hand, but yeah,
Just-
no, it's being mailed to every household. So every person who lives in Battery Park City in the zip code, the 3 zip codes you said, and in Tribeca, okay, good, and I wanna make sure that Diane Stein is here, raise your hand again, Diane, if you wanna speak. You know, but I think that's a huge help. I wonder if the management or the owners of the restaurants know what's going on, but they don't tell their workers. I have no idea, we don't know.
That's.
And, you know, sometimes it's a little frustrating, but I want to focus now on actual stuff, or actual construction stuff. I know we have 2 restaurants, one in Gateway and one in the Regatta. Have you guys come up with a plan yet for them or not yet? I mean, I know it was always, it's difficult. So are we there yet? Are you going to present that on the 20th?
We're not there yet, not there yet. I mean, we are looking, investigating on a building by building basis, trying to really map out what the impacts are, the timeframes that are associated with them, so that we can then have that conversation directly with those buildings, and the people that are impacted by this.
Okay.
You might want to go directly to the businesses rather than the management.
Well,
In the management of the business?
yeah, I'm talking about
Management of the building. Don't,
The management company who runs the building.
whoever runs the business.
Yeah, I hear it. Each individual business.
Yeah, but again, at the end of the day, the stakeholder isn't the waitress or the waiter, the stakeholder is the owner of the business.
Right.
So, I
And the
mean,
person losing their job is the waiter or the waitress.
correct. One would hope that, let's see, but anyway,
Anyway.
let's see, 1 second, I wanna just look at this, but I have some more questions. Question is, as you're trying to compress this, will there be any construction that goes on at night? I would hope not, right? And like, except perhaps 9A.
We're
You have to
not,
close
I
the
mean,
streets.
yes, 9A will need to be done overnight. That work will happen overnight. I don't know that there's any plan at this point, Bill, to
Yeah, you know, right now, I don't think there's a plan for night work, unless the utility company, forces us to do work nights. Besides 9A, that will definitely be done.
Right, that makes sense, because they can't close the road down, which is unfortunate, but,
And then Harrison Street, you know, at PMCC, that will also be.
so for that, but yeah, I would love where as residential neighborhoods are, that we stick to whatever the guidelines are. And again, preferably not 7, preferably 8, but again, we have to push back and forth. Getting it done faster means starting and finishing. So I do,
6.
yeah, the dogs get you up. But that's one thing, so the restaurants, and then, once again, to be clear, you already are trying to stage it almost, I wanna say block by block in like the south neighborhood and then the north neighborhood as we're going down. Because we don't know until we get there. what is your expectation, if you have any yet, of the disruption to the individual buildings? Let's say 350 Albany Street and, whatever's behind it, I don't, that on the water, their retaining wall that's there now, their privacy wall will become a retaining wall. We're gonna be closing down from Albany Street to Rector Place.
We're formulating that fine grain of an understanding and plan right now, and that's something that we'll continue to be able to speak about with the individual buildings and with the larger group as we get that in place. So we're working on that now.
We should have that for June 20th.
Wait,
That's what people are
I'm
not.
not sure that we will have that.
but when you do, that would be good. I'm gonna call the people online who are telling me they have to go. So Alice Blank, Diane Stein, and then the room. So Alice, unmute yourself and please ask your question.
Thanks all. Can you hear me? I'm
Yes.
on a highway crossing it at the moment. Anyway, I just wanted to raise points for the June 20th presentation. If you would be good enough to answer some of the community's multiple times asked for three-dimensional modeling, I think this would help tremendously with everyone's comprehension of the project. And it is critical that, I know it's difficult not to compartmentalize this project, and I'm delighted to know the reaches will have names now, but it is critical that we understand how one space folds into the next. And my concern with this continues to be that is not very well understood, and these are critical junctures. So if there is, I know we had been promised in the past potential model, whether these are fly-throughs or even better would be some sort of three-dimensional model of the entirety of the project, albeit schematic in some way. I think this would help a great deal. So just a call for that, and whatever visuals will help people to understand, because if I'm not mistaken, June 20th will be it for 60% design, which puts great weight on that meeting. And I would also ask that you do the best you can to make it very well advertised so people show up. Thanks a lot, Justine, and thanks to all. I'm going to sign off. Thanks.
Thanks, Alice.
Oh, just so if Alice is still on or if she didn't jump off yet, Alice, we will have an updated fly through, and we have discussed the physical model. We know that that's been a request for quite some time. I think we want to make sure that the design is close to what it's going to be before we, because it's obviously a large physical model, as you could probably imagine, but I think we are working on that as well.
Right, because I mean, at 60% design, the hope would be you have enough information to be able to give a schematic model, albeit that it will potentially change and be modified, of course. So, I mean, just professionally speaking, that's generally how I know I've worked in the past, certainly not at this scale, but I'm hopeful that you can just assist all the folks that are coming to see this and understand it, that they do so on June 20th as best they can, rather than after the fact. I think a lot of people, understood South Battery and Wagner Park only recently when they stand and look at it, and I don't think that's what you have in mind. I think you want to have the exchange that people really are integrated into the process. So, and I know you're trying. So I thank you for that. And I look forward to seeing you on the 20th. Thanks again, Justine.
Thanks, Alice. Okay, and so Diane, you've been really patient. Unmute yourself. And then I'll go around the room.
Okay, you did touch upon part of my question, but about informing, I live in Independence Plaza, and so we're directly affected by especially the northern end. I had heard at the last community presentation, some people complained, even somebody in 80 Northmore said the postcards weren't enough. He thought there should be like maybe signs or posters plastered about, big letters to let people know. And then I heard, a couple of people from some other buildings, not Independence Plaza, said their buildings didn't get any notification at all. I don't remember which buildings they were, but it was, I think, somebody near enough by that would have been affected. So I'm just wondering, besides the postcards, if there can be signage or some way to communicate, because now it's June 6th and the meeting is June 20th, between now and then. How they can better disseminate information.
That's very helpful. Signs are gonna be in the kiosks also in and throughout Battery Park City. Areas outside Battery Park City is a little more difficult because we don't necessarily own the assets to put them in. But, one of the things we had kicked around previously, which I guess I can take on as well, maybe with some help, is, to the extent that there are any, Link NYC, those kiosks that are around that do the digital advertising. I know from my work previously with the technology agency, when there are public meetings or community-based meetings of that sort, there is a special dispensation to make sure those things get up. So we can see if there's some assets around there that we can do. So take a look at it along the
Yeah.
stretch, especially in North.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Diane, is there one? Do you know of one that's close by?
I don't, what do you say, when you say kiosks, I'm not sure what you're referring to.
NYC.
It says link,
Wi-Fi.
yeah, it's almost like sometimes they're like a part of a bus stop, sometimes they're all by themselves and they just have advertising on it. Sometimes it's advertising, it's digital, yeah, digital advertising. But that.
I'm not near, I don't know of any near Independence Plaza. You know, I'm just thinking even in the lobbies, I mean, this person lived in 80, I'm on Harrison Street, so we're, I mean, all of us are gonna be affected, all along, West Street, because.
That might be a suggestion, Diane. So maybe having the postcard, but a bigger one and give it in the lobby and ask them, please just post it. And I mean, part of it's gonna be, and if you've got building links in your buildings, posted in the lobbies, posted by the elevators. That's something that's helpful that you can ask the building to do. But even if they don't, we can give it to them to do, I mean, and that's something that would not be a huge expense. It's taking a walk. And maybe, we just figure out any place where it's gonna touch along outside of outside of Battery Park City, we should do that. The MCC should be well aware.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking maybe community board members can get these posters and bring them to their building manager and say, we want this to be communicated. Because that's when management may listen.
And also, we're in the middle of doing lobby renovations, so we have a makeshift lobby, so, in all the towers. And then there are adjoining townhouses that don't have any central spot, so it's a little tricky right now. But
One would hope that people are paying more attention now, but it does help to have signs. Maybe, go ahead, sorry.
I was gonna say, Building Link is very powerful, yeah.
not everybody's, especially some of the seniors, they're not all hooked up to it, I'm sorry.
As I saw in the comment,
The building link, yeah, but no, I mean, so not all the seniors, wait, we can't all talk in the room. Because people online can't hear it, but not everybody hears it, and at the end of the day, we're never gonna talk to everybody because so many people have their heads in the sand and don't pay attention until the last minute. So that is a given. But the more we do and the more word we get out there, the more it's in the newspapers. Tribeca Trib, we should be talking to them, we should be talking to other.
I'm sorry.
Tribeca Citizen, yeah, tell me more because.
There's a senior center in the community room, maybe somebody could,
That might be something our new community board member, John Scott could maybe help spread the word. That's kind of a little bit on us. I know Tammy will yell at me for taking on that responsibility, but that's okay. The whole idea here is spread the word.
one other powerful way to get the message out. Have the building resident manager send out, we get emails every day from our building manager.
Yeah.
Everyone opens up those emails.
I mean, in
Very
Battery Park City, I feel pretty confident that you really have to be living under a rock not to be paying attention, but it's outside of Battery Park City. And then new people. Those people aren't, under a rock particularly, they're just not connected, they're not engaged. Thank you so much, Diane. Thank you for your patience too. I see Brian Cushman has his hand, but I'm gonna call on in the room, and I see Wendy Chapman has her hand up too, but I'm gonna go in the room. So gentlemen here.
Hi, my name is Mike Redgate. I'm the manager of North Cove since 2017. I've worked on and off in 2009, so I know the marina very well. Something we could just discuss a little bit or start the discussion on the impacts to the marina specifically, and most importantly, the community boating programs in it, the historical vessels have had there for 30 years, and the continuity of those programs through the construction phase, and hopefully they're still there at the end of it. And just throw a couple examples out. My friend Jordan here is joining us. He runs one of the businesses there. We have Dave, who lives in the building next door. And into 2026, it's the 250th anniversary of the country. There's a huge flotilla of tall ships that are planning to come to New York like they did in 76.
Wow.
I know, right?
Wow.
So they're already calling me, and they want to bring tall ships in the marina and do this wonderful thing, and I have to break the news to them that it's in jeopardy. So, and then somewhat related marina wise, it would be a big missed opportunity to not involve the marina itself as part of the open space discussion.
Yes, well, please, no, but number one,
Yeah.
you're welcome. You are part of Community Board One. You are workers here. That's,
Correct.
you're part of us. So
Well,
number one, you're welcome here, you're welcome there, and speak up. But yeah, that is a great thing, and perhaps there could be some coordination.
Yeah, because I would say it was built in the 80s for a different use than it was boats, but it was meant to be more different. It didn't have a floating docks originally, it wasn't built around that.
Mm-hmm.
The utilities there, the construction already is submerged with nor'easters, especially at spring tides.
Yeah.
So it's already at that point. It needs remediation, cider and honey systems, it's already happened. So this sounds like.
Is that something that the authority is doing with that, or is that on the?
I
No.
think that that's a good idea that we had this discussion because, it kind of goes along with the suggestion earlier, while we're doing this project, if there's an opportunity to take, advantage of the time, the downtime, to do some other needed improvements. I know that there's a division of responsibility under our license agreement as to kind of what part of it falls to Battery Park City Authority versus what falls to the licensee. But I'm interested in hearing more about kind of the issues that you're experiencing and how we might look to try to take advantage of our time to address this.
Yeah.
That would be great, and I'd like you to come back and keep in contact with us. So just so our committee knows, and then I'm gonna follow more people. We are gonna put together a resolution, not tonight. We are just trying to absorb information, hear what's going on, see what, talk to people, see, we need another meeting at least, I think, to have a conversation and do it.
Yeah, Marina, related question.
Well, wait, let me finish.
Okay.
So I think that this is important, things about the marina and coordination, it should be memorialized in a resolution, so please don't go away, please keep up with us. Make sure that Zach has your way to contact you so that we know and can stay in touch, and yeah, these are all great ideas, and this is exactly why you guys are here. And that's why you're coming, is you want to get this connections in this is perfect. I'm quick because I've got to.
What you said makes a lot of sense. I was thinking maybe even the marina folks can come and just do a very short presentation at a future meeting and kind of tell us.
That would be lovely to see what they're doing, yeah.
So all this background, because it's very interesting.
Yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
Gwen, can you clarify for what period of time will the marina actually be closed during construction and for what period of time?
I think based on what we know now, it looks like it's going to be closed for an extended period of time while we're doing the work on the bridging structures. So I don't, we're gonna get to a finite level of understanding and parse that out more specifically, but it looks like that the time that the plaza area is closed down and the work is being conducted on the bridging structures will largely mean that the needs to be.
And in your chart there, you've got 5 years. When you say extended period of time, you're thinking 5 years. Maybe. I mean, you don't know yet, but it could possibly be that's devastating.
Think about that. Marina's a big place with lots of
Yeah.
seawall. And the project.
Yeah, we're not able to be more specific right now about it, but I understand.
Maybe I would suggest, we should just sit down and have an actual.
Yeah.
The building by building conversation, and I heard we had a marina conversation.
No, but
Yeah.
you need to. That's a great idea. Yeah. It's not for us to, us. It's for you guys to come to a deal. And if I may, I'm going to throw out how wonderful the authority has been in partnering with outside groups such as Asphalt Green and other things. And without saying more, I think you know where I'm going with this. But perhaps there's things you can do too. If it's going to really be closed for 5 years, there might be other things that can happen to bridge some gaps for some of these folks.
Maybe just south end will be done and there can be a floating.
But- Of the South Cove, but the South Cove is not built
I
up
meant
for,
Out by Pier A.
oh, well,
Out.
but this is up for you guys to talk about. And so no, thank you so much for being here and coming and discussing this because.
I don't actually know the answer, so I'm very curious. for the pieces of the marina that are closer to the river level, does any of the design plans actually elevate those? To pull them out of the, the rise?
I don't think so. Okay.
Okay. It's a good point. I appreciate you raising that again. We can try.
We can say that, but I think maybe not, but okay. Brian Cushman, you could, we got to make it work. I'm gonna call on him, Brian Cushman. Wait, oh, there's a lot of people here. But you did the best. Brian, you can try to unmute yourself. There you go. Go ahead and speak, Brian.
Hello?
Yes, we hear you.
Great. Thank you for picking on me. Just really quick, for the June 20 meeting, it would be great if the construction people can make some renderings that are from, let's say, the River Terrace Street side, looking towards the water from different points, and do like a perspective of current view and then after, what they suspect it would look like. And because sometimes they do the views, the before, and they'll take the after from a different angle. It'd be great if they were just straight on mirroring each other. And then when they give the dimensions, if they're going to say, hey, the wall's this much higher, instead of referencing from the water level, it's kind of meaningless to people. It'd be great to be like, hey, from the current floor height, it's this much higher, or, dimensions not from the water level, but from something that we could get a better understanding from.
That's a really good point, Brian, because yeah, from our perspective as lay people.
You
don't
know what the.
Doesn't know what that means. Yeah, exactly. It means nothing. But, and you're looking and asking us for our input for the design. And that's the best that we can give you, is what we understand. So thank you, Brian. That was a really good point.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Wendy Chapman, unmute yourself. Go ahead, Wendy. Yeah, you're there, Wendy. If you're there, unmute. She's. That's hearing me now. Maybe she stepped away. Well, Wendy, unmute yourself if you're there. So anybody else, Matthew, you had a question in the room? Did you or you don't? Okay.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Sorry about that. I couldn't get my phone to do it. Anyway, thank you so much. This is great. We always appreciate an update. As everybody knows, I bring up signs at every meeting. And I would just actually say, if we could even put a sign up on the ball fields or places where people gather. Like, I know everyone in Battery Park hears about it, but there are places that people walk and jog on that wonderful walking and biking path. The ball fields are one of them. I can think of other places. And then the other thing I've suggested over the years is that a little bit more explanation about the why behind we're doing it in an artistic way. I can send photos again from what Baltimore Washington's harbor has done. They have a wonderful, exhibit of past flooding in terms of what previous hurricanes have hit and how high it was. And I know we did that on the lamppost where you painted up to the blue line, but it really was so subtle. You needed someone to explain why it was painted blue, but to have an art installation explaining more about why we're doing and what what past storms have been, and then what future storms are expected and what we're building towards. Because I always talk to random strangers, as you all know, in the neighborhood when I'm walking around, and people are like, oh, I didn't know that. I was like, so it's, I steal that lemonade stand idea. I just really, feel like we could do an art installation about that in some ways. Just in a friendly, educational way.
Thank you. That's a good point. And yeah, the ball fields, that's a good point. We'll do something there. That's a good idea.
Thank you.
All right, maybe let's do Gerald first, and then, I'm sorry, I don't mean to blow you off, Jill, but it's like, I want to have people who haven't spoken. So go ahead, Gerald.
Is the presentation available on the community board site?
I'm hoping that we will be shared and it'll be on
The
your,
docs or something? We will post it, and then Dan can will post it on our page, so.
yeah. So the short answer is yes,
Yeah.
but, and yeah, so it basically,
Email to us?
it was not. I haven't gotten it yet.
We got a
very close to the start time, but
So-
if, right now, if you wanna look at it, if you go to the live site, and it says meeting materials for committees, you can find it there.
And then it will stay there, or we'll put it someplace?
It'll
get connected to our.
It'll stay there through the month.
It'll be on our site in.
Yes, which is public information, is Battery Park City Authority website, public information.
Everett City Resilience and Sustainability, because resiliency. opens
It'll
up
be there.
a Specific section for the department, just like there is for the south.
And you might actually put it under the Battery Park City Committee. You've got like presentations to the Battery Park City Committee, because that's always easier for me to
There's also a
find.
link right in the middle of our whole page, Northwest Battery Park City. Click on that, put you right to the site.
Okay, thank you so much.
It's up.
Jill.
So, I want to talk about methods of construction, and I don't know if this has been discussed yet. For instance, pylons, there's two ways to pound them in, right? One's electric and one is boom. How much effort is specifically being put into using methods of construction that will limit sound and vibrations? I realize it may cost more money, but this is going to be years of noise for the community. How specific can you be, and can we understand that you're making every effort to choose methods that might reduce sound and vibration?
So, we were concerned about vibration and noise. So the one method you mentioned is you pound the pile in, and that's very annoying, like Chinese torch.
I'm well familiar with.
Right now, our plan is to drill the piles, which is not as annoying, but it still has an impact.
It's gonna be more by, yeah.
Well, no, because we're not casings. Could there be a spot for some reason that we have to pound it? There might be, but right now we're planning to drill all the piles, which is less of an impact than pounding.
How many piles will be in the south that we're not allowed?
I don't know that off the top of my head, but there's hundreds of piles in the site.
And about how long does it take per pile?
So that depends on how deep that pile has to go. So the geotech report looks at where's rock located, how far down does it have to go? So, different lengths of pile take different time.
Can you give me an average? Is it one day? But you
There's
say,
so many different types.
I know, but we're talking about a specific stretch and we're talking,
Just in the south.
yeah, just in the south.
Yeah,
Is it a day? Is it a week? Is it an hour? We have no framework
Probably a couple days.
per pylon.
It'll vary on longer ones.
This is gonna be,
Maybe more.
It's gonna be a joy, but, a question for you guys also as to put into your minds. Once the construction starts, especially close to the buildings, which is most of the south, but it's gonna be in the north too, close to the buildings, I think. I'm concerned about the air quality, and I know that, other, roles I've had or whatever, things I've been fighting about air quality monitoring. I know that the city and the EPA wants people or any agencies, whatever, to monitor to 10 particulate matters. Can we go lower than that, please? 2.5 particulate is really when it causes difficulty. And monitoring to know for people would be great. I mean, I think that, I don't know what liability comes into play. So there may be other issues there accordingly, but, for example, I'll bring up the jail, the borough-based jail in Manhattan. The dust factors there, they're mitigating it allegedly, they're doing all this stuff. It's horrifying. You can't walk close by to the street. And of course, their air quality is fine. And, I don't know what the effect is of knowing that it's too, clearly it's the 10 particulate matter is not fine for people with asthma. It's not fine for little children or elderly people.
for the 9/11 survivors.
Yeah.
There are many.
Many here, so being to 2.5, but again, look at it, see what you can do, because that would be huge. And perhaps the answer is when the construction's going on, people get themselves air purifiers or something, or at least they know, you know, and they're informed, because it's a lot. It's a lot for little children, it's a lot for the daycare center, it's a lot for everybody to be outside. And just like we get the air monitoring thing on our phone to tell us when it's a bad day, this matters. So that would be something that, to me, would make a huge difference, to know that we're testing to that. And I guess the sad news is it'll probably be above the 2.5 regularly, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think.
Hey, Justine, I was gonna, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut someone off. I was gonna say, as you know, for the South Project, we have monthly community air monitoring reports that we post. I'd imagine we would do something similar, just so people understand, obviously what the current situation is. That was required as part of our EIS process. I would imagine that would be the same for this project as well.
I might
in terms of reporting out, just in terms of reporting out.
I mean, certainly when it gets bad, there's a notice and it's something, an emergency, but I might want to ask for more than that when it's by the buildings. And when it's by residential buildings, along the south, so South Esplanade and the north neighborhood, when it's against the buildings. That to me seems like something that's reasonable, whereas maybe not in Brookfield, I don't know, maybe not in Brookfield Place, but anywhere where it's by the buildings. It's people, it's not just the people who are outside, not just the first floor, it's all the way up.
So they can protect themselves.
And they can protect themselves, yeah, exactly. I mean, at this point here, it's more about letting people know what they need to do to protect themselves, and then they can make their own informed choices. That's
Right, it's
step
about getting the information out there to people.
Yes, exactly. So once a month is probably not good enough, but again, I know what the EPA is gonna have and what I want are two different things. So I'm certain you're gonna follow the
We
law.
understand his concern, his consideration.
Yeah, we can talk about it, exactly. The law is the law, and I get that, and I don't have any doubt to follow it. But,
I think you both, put your finger on the two big questions. What do we do about noise and what do we do about air quality?
Yeah.
Does as much as the benefit standpoint to address those two issues.
I think so.
We don't want to. At this point,
No.
we are acutely aware of those two.
And those will be the things where we're gonna want lots of contact and having the discussions, because again, we try, my answer is that we need to be partners and we need to trust you that you've got our best interest at heart as people that live there, but you're also working there too, so this is your own best interest at heart. So, thank you. Does anybody else have anything to ask? Wendy, your hand is still raised, but I think it's raised from before. I don't see any other hands. Anybody in the room have anything they'd like to say? Thank you. This was wonderful. This was a great presentation.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for coming, Brenda. We can close the meeting.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being, oh, wait, question, question, wait, don't turn it off yet. Changing gears, I forgot. You got your homework, we're not doing it.
One thing I have to Zach, just a couple of reminders for the covered latches.
Oh, turn on the, wait, quiet, guys.
Covered latches and, the gate opening. Couple of, things coming up, obviously, we have a Juneteenth celebration coming up, want to make sure on June 15th. We have Swedish Midsummer, okay, coming up, which is wonderful. October Park, and then we have River and the month of July, which they know is a wonderful free outdoor event to see. Folks from all over, actually, the rain for the rip raff, which is.
Oh, yeah.
It's her birthday right there, so they should wish her happy birthday.
Yes, it is her birthday.
And July 4th, I think where the fireworks are coming back to the west side.
Yeah.
So in the coming weeks, we'll have communication to you about what to expect in Battery Park City.
Nice.
Impacts, and there's some fun things, which is what to expect over the course, because although it's further up the road between 14th and 34th, we expect a lot of crowds here in Battery Park City. We want to make sure that everybody can enjoyable for folks, but also as ever, trying to reduce the impacts in terms of garbage and noise and everything else. So stay tuned for more information there, but just so everyone's tracking it back on the west side this year. Should be fun, should be a lot of crowds, and we will manage to it together.
And one more thing, our July meeting for Battery Park City Committee, I believe is gonna be, it's going to be Monday, I believe. Let me make sure I'm not lying to you. Yeah,
And then we skip over.
Monday the 22nd.
yes, Monday, July 22nd, in this room. That's okay. I wish I could be remote for it, but I won't be. We'll be here. But yeah, so we're not the first week in July, because that's July 4th weekend. Everybody enjoy your happy holidays, and we'll see you July 22nd. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sid. Now you can turn it off. Thank you, everybody. Tell Pat thank you. You know, I'm happy to give him a reprieve for Virginia.